Hi, this is Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we are specifically going to talk about making a Dungeons & Dragons location perfectly explained with a single sentence. This was recent, so this content has spoilers for Andor Season 1, Episode 1, the new Disney Star Wars television show. So this Disney Star Wars television show did a fantastic job of really just showing what did it show? Of perfectly explaining a specific location in a single sentence and telling you just so much about it and communicating things about the location with what the people in the location are saying, right? And actually specifically a doorman. All right, so Andor, highly recommended. I am super. I'm actually halfway through season 1, episode 1, and I already got great ideas for my D&D game. This is peak content for Star Wars. You know what? Like I know y'all's hate these Star Wars Disney shows. I have a buddy of mine, and I love him to death. He's like, Scott, I really hated Mandalorian Season 1, all that woke nonsense, and I really hated Mandalorian Season 2, all that woke nonsense, and I really hated Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett Season 1, all that nonsense, and I really hated Kenobi. You're like, dude, your words are saying you hate it. You watch every episode of every season. Shut your noise down. Sea sty flapping maw, you love Star Wars and you love this Disney content because you constantly watching it. So like, and I think a ton of people are like, oh, I don't really like this Star Wars. But like, I will tell you, I learned this, right? If you an artist and you create, haters gonna arrive, right? And there ain't no better way to seal their flapping maws than to just keep moving. And that's exactly what Disney is doing with Star Wars. They're putting up awesome, super dope content, and they're crushing it, right? And so, so I want to teach you how to use a doorman perfectly in your Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So Andor arrives at a brothel. Whoa, ain't this Disney Plus? I'm telling you, Disney Plus is forgetting the Disney part. There's just a lot of plus nowadays, right? So it's okay, it's cool, it's where we are, right? So he arrives at a brothel, right? Now it's possible it's more like a host club, like they would have in Japan, I think, right? But like it's a sketchy joint, right? He rolls up, and the doorman. I love, this is the perfect sentence. He's like, no weapons, no comms, all right? No credit, no nonsense, right? And he said it 1,000 times. And he's like, hey, check your violence here. Like, this place is a place where people come and and they're just going to relax and they're going to find some ways to entertain themselves, that are probably illegal, right? But it also says, I'm telling you no weapons, because you know what? People's always showing up here with weapons, right? So the people who are coming here are carrying weapons, right? And he's saying, hey, your weapons are not going in, right? So he's saying no weapons. The other thing he says is no comms. He's saying what goes down here stays here, right? You ain't supposed to be like taking recordings or listening to people or recording what they're saying, because what happens here is illegals, right? Like this is not to be shared or spread, right? Then he's like, no cash. He's like, he says no credit. He's like, gold press latinum up in here. I know that's a Star Trek reference. I don't know what the equivalent for cash is in Star Wars. That's interesting. What is cash in Star Wars? That's interesting. But no credit. Oh, I know what credit means. Like, oh, hey, I'll pay you on Tuesday for a burger today. That's an old Popeye reference. Sorry for the dated reference there. But so he's saying, hey, you better have credits in hand, and you're going to give them to us, right? We're not going to credit you for what happens here. So you better be ready to pay now, right? And actually, when Andor goes in, there's a female bartender, very attractive, who like sidles up to him and is like, and she gives him a drink, and she's like, you pay at the end, right? So like he's barely in the door, right? And they're already saying, you best have your money ready, right? Like, and which is just saying like, and also there's a threat there, right? Like, you ain't this, you're not gonna order a burger and fries and roll out and run through the door open. Like, you get murdered if you don't pay here, right? Like, and all this is coming from one doorman, right? And then at the end he says, no nonsense, right? He's saying no shenanigans. I have a shenanigans player in one of my games, and like, he just comes up with the weirdest stuff, right? Like, and so he's like, hey, whatever you're, and believe it or not, Andor is there for nonsense. This place a brothel, right? Ain't no big mystery what's happening there, and he's coming in looking for his sister, right? So he's there for nonsense, right? So like he's there for a reason that the place was not made for, right? Like, he's bringing nonsense to the door, and so you feel for this poor doorman, because you're like, oh my gosh, this place got a million problems, right? But in one sentence, he's saying, this is the expectations of you. I'm telling you what happens at this place, what has happened at this place in the past. We're saying no weapons because people have been firing up in the bar, or having laser blasts, battles in the middle of the bar, right? And no communication, saying, hey, we got high level, people up in here, and they don't want people to know they're here, right? And so no comms, and also the no credit part. You better have money in hand, right? And when we demand it, you better give it. And that needs to be a smooth exchange, right? And the last one is no nonsense. Like, people come in there for a million different weird reasons, not respecting the purpose of the place, right? So just like one doorman, one sentence, and you know exactly what you need to know about this place. And I love it. I just think it is brilliant. I really think it's just perfectly done. And we, when you get those 4 players who sit down at your table on Sunday night, you better be ready. Like, do not waste 1 minute of their time with copper tier nonsense, right? Like, bring the story, and Andor will help you do it. Check, if you're a dungeon master, go watch Andor. If you are a dungeon master, make sure that when they arrive at a tavern, right, the people in the tavern are telling them about that tavern even before they enter the door, right? The stable girl is going to be able to tell them things about this tavern before they even enter, right? That's good dungeon mastering. All that's my humble opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.